So my team was telling me, so you know, Georgia started early voting and they broke historic records in early voting. North Carolina started early voting, broke historic records in North Carolina. Now who is the capital of producing records? So we are going to break some records here in Detroit today. Yes, we are. We are going to do this.
So Kamala Harris walks out on stage for yet another mistake just before the 2024 elections. But this time they went ahead and cut off her microphone. Now, this is just unbelievable. I mean, the number of mistakes that Kamala Harris makes, it's just unreal at this point. Now, this is the same woman that decided to avoid and just completely miss the Al Smith dinner with Donald Trump and a number of other very high-level politicians. She skipped out on a number of different interview opportunities, and she got destroyed on Fox News the other day. But watch Kamala Harris's microphone get cut off.
Thank you so much. Hey, Detroit. Are we ready to get out there and get everyone to vote? And the mic is not on now, it's on. Hey, Detroit, are we ready? Yes, we're ready. So before I came out, my team was telling me, and I was talking to some members of the press, and they said, hey, since early voting has started, can you hear me? You can't hear me. They can't hear me. Okay, I didn't want to have to stand right here. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay.
So I guess we're not the only ones that are just tired of hearing Kamala Harris just flap her gums and word salad America.
People of Detroit, we have grit, we have excellence, we have history. And it's about looking in the face of a perfect stranger and seeing a neighbor and understanding we are all in this together. We all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we are going to fight for this country we love.
Let the cackling begin.
Speaking of teleprompters, Vice President and would-be future Madam President Kamala Harris found herself speaking without a teleprompter this week. Let's see what sort of off-the-cuff words and wisdom she had to offer, shall we?
So when we think about what's at stake in this election, whoa, it's packed with some stuff. It's packed with some fundamental stuff. I say rather articulately.
Oh yeah, it's packed with some stuff, all right.
Wow, is she like the most airheaded vice president, potential presidential candidate that we've ever had here in America? I mean, this is just absolutely crazy that so many people are convinced that Kamala Harris should be the leader of the free world.
James Morrow then went on to reveal Kamala Harris's supporters are abandoning her in droves following her recent chaotic media appearances.
Despite these sorts of near-daily performances from Harris, the race between Donald Trump and Kamala is effectively tied. But there are some serious warning bells that key demographic groups without whom Harris cannot win the election, are abandoning her in droves. Like, for example, male voters who are worried about the economy and their jobs and for the most part don't know what a brat summer is and don't respond to the Democrats' scare campaign on abortion, which is about all the Democrats have.
But what's crazy is the level of the number of opportunities that CNN is now capitalizing on to literally ruin Kamala Harris's chances at becoming the president of the United States. I mean, it really actually comes as a huge shock to me just to watch Kamala Harris crash and burn, mistake after mistake, to the point where, I mean, even CNN of all news stations, one of the more left-leaning news stations, is now coming out and pretty much lighting a fire under Kamala Harris's butt and highlighting her mistakes and some of the more recent tragedies.
A terrible week. It was a terrible week for the Harris this campaign. You had Gretchen Whitmer having to apologize to Catholics across America for mocking them with some bizarro Dorito thing on there. You had Governor Elmer Fudd out hunting and not knowing how to load his shotgun, using the wrong gun. At the same time,
Governor Elmer Fudd?
Governor Walz was out there, looked like Elmer Fudd. You know, be very, very quiet while hunting for rabbits.
Oh my God.
Right? So he can't load his shotgun. He's trying to appeal to hunters. He can't load the gun. He's using the wrong gun. At the same time, you have Barack Obama in Pennsylvania where he derided people who own guns. Remember, people in Pennsylvania were bitter and they clinged to guns and religion. Remember that in 2008? So they're trying to appeal to those folks at the same time while he alienates black male voters by chastising them. So they had a really tough week.
And all of this.
Wow, this is horrible, guys. Now, you got to think about this for a second, right? So first of all, chastising Catholics, I mean, like, this does not look good for Democrats. I mean, how many times have we heard that the Democrats are literally like against the church? They're against Christians. They're against the Bible. Like, we've all heard these things, and now CNN is coming out and highlighting a lot of these gaffes. They're highlighting Kamala Harris and Tim Walz's weak points. Barack Obama attacked Donald Trump for selling $60 Bibles just the other day. In fact, this was actually the same time where Barack Obama was going off on all these black males, pretty much scolding black men for not voting for Kamala Harris because you're black. So if you're a black male, you should definitely be voting for Kamala Harris, according to Barack Obama. And again, you know, he attacked Donald Trump for selling $60 Bibles. Now, a lot of people asked at that point, is Barack Obama being a leader of the Democrats? Some people argue that Barack Obama is king of all blacks and leader of all blacks. It's so silly. But the question was, is Barack Obama attacking Donald Trump for selling $60 Bibles? Or more importantly, is Barack Obama attacking the Bible and Christians? So this was a little bit interesting to say the least. And there's a lot of new information that's actually coming out about the Democratic Party wanting to remove religion. Then, of course, you got Tim Walz, who tried to show how supportive of gun law he is, but he was an epic failure. And this is where the jokes come into play, where they're making fun of, and it's not just CNN, it's not just CNN, but it's also SNL, all these different skits that are going viral, making fun of not only Kamala Harris, but the clown that she decided to partner up with by the name of Tim Walz, who decided, hey, you know, let me show these guys I know what I'm doing. You know, let me go ahead and get my shotgun out, and I'm going to show these people who's boss. I'm going to show them, like, look, you know, I'm one of them. I support the Second Amendment. Sure. So he goes out there, orange protective vest and all, with his shotgun, and can't even figure out how to load the shotgun. Wow. Just absolutely. I mean, and this is why they're calling him Elmer Fudd, you know, hunting wascally rabbits. I mean, this guy was an epic failure on camera. This was probably one of the things that he should have actually practiced behind, you know, before the cameras were rolling, just to make sure, because this guy probably, and here's the other thing. Tim Walz is the same guy who said that he went to war for America because he claimed that he was actually previously on the battlefield until the National Guard called him out. And Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, basically, you know, labeled him as stolen valor. This guy is, I mean, the lies left and right, the mistakes, the gaffes, the tampons in the boys' bathroom. The list goes on and on, guys.
Has culminated in a disappointing campaign for Kamala Harris, with the Democrats having to now readjust their expectations of the VP, reveals former White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney.
And Mick, I'm hearing a lot of rumors flying around about internal polls for the Harris campaign that are showing her losing to Trump in key states like Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. And I'll note that journalist Mark Halperin has said that Kamala Harris is in a lot of trouble. In the conversations I'm having, he said, with Trump people and Democrats with data, they're extremely bullish on Trump's chances in the last 48 hours. Now, remember, Halperin, of course, called Biden pulling out 3 days before he did it. This is all pointing to wobbles in the Harris campaign. What do you reckon? What's your read on all of this?
It's fascinating to watch the language, James, the campaigns use. I wrote a piece at The Hill. You had a Hill piece there just on your graphic. I wrote a piece in The Hill today talking about the language the Democrats are using, and they're starting to sort of lower expectations for Kamala Harris, to sort of maybe grease the skids that she's going to lose, but it's not her fault. They're talking now about something called the electoral system or the electoral college bias. Now, it's unfair that the Democrats have to win so much more of the popular vote in order to win the presidency. Of course, the popular vote constitutionally in this country doesn't make any difference. But I think what you're seeing from Halperin, you're seeing from a lot of high-ranking Democrats inside the Kamala inner circle starting to hit the panic button. They're seeing some data that really bothers them. Now, that being said, there's some language out of the Trump campaign that makes me wonder if they're not seeing some data that worries them as well. He came out today and talked about offering tax deductibility for interest payments on cars, something that every Democrat candidate has talked about for a long time. So I think both sides are a little bit worried, but right now I think the Democrats are starting to get a little bit more worried as we get into these last 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow, this is devastating news, guys.
Vice President Kamala Harris pressed on her past support of taxpayer-funded sex changes for inmates and illegal immigrants in her interview with Bret Baier. Here's the soundbite.
Are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law. And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. Under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available to...
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries happened during his
Well, you know what? You got to take responsibility for what happened in your administration.
Former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard joins us with reaction. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
What is your reaction when you hear that soundbite?
It's one of the many examples of how Kamala Harris is lying to the American people and assuming that we're so stupid as just to believe her lies. We've seen the sound bites and the clips of her when she was advocating and patting herself on the back for the law changes that she brought about that would do this very thing, that would make sure that U.S. taxpayers are covering transgender surgeries for inmates. She advocated for the same for illegal immigrants coming across our border. She refuses to take responsibility and own up to her positions. If her views have changed, fine, people can change, but the American people deserve the respect enough to know exactly why she has changed. In that interview with Bret, there were a number of examples where she is lying about her past positions in order to try to create this new version of herself that she thinks will be more palatable to voters. And it's offensive in my view.
It really is offensive. And it's like, look, just call a spade a spade. If you used to feel a certain way, fine, admit to it, own it. I mean, here we are. This is 2024. The cameras are constantly running. We can pull up old footage of Kamala Harris making these statements that she's denying that she previously said. I mean, she was the attorney general for the state of California at one point. She was the district attorney. So, I mean, for San Francisco. So it's like, come on, guys. Kamala Harris, own up to what you believe. And if there's a change in course, own up to that too. But this constant ongoing gaslighting of America, it's just, I think you would think that she would be smarter than to continue on with doing this. Now I gotta ask you guys real quick. Here we have Tulsi Gabbard giving her take on the Kamala Harris Fox News Bret Baier interview. I gotta ask, Kamala Harris versus Tulsi Gabbard. Who do you think would make a better president of the United States just between these two ladies here? Please let me know in the comments down below, guys.
So this is such a neck and neck race. Every single vote, every single viewer, their vote will matter.
Yes.
And he pressed her on why, if he's so bad, why is he winning in the swing states? Listen to this.
Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
Listen,
Are they stupid? What is
God,
it?
I would never say that about the American people.
You know, that almost seems very condescending right there. Oh, I would never say that about the American people. But how many of you guys, comment down below, how many of you guys remember Kamala Harris specifically calling out, well, what age group was it? 18 to 24 being stupid? Come on now.
And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
They're so focused on that when they need to be focused on the economy. Everywhere we go, people say we can't afford groceries. They're worried about immigration, her immigration plan.
Yeah, it's an extension of what we've seen over the last 3.5 years from the Biden-Harris administration. People are continuing to be concerned about the high cost of living, and they remember how over this past term in office, they've patted themselves on the back, celebrating the success of Bidenomics and just saying, well, if the American people only knew how good we are and what a great job we did, then maybe we would be more popular. But ignoring the reality of the struggles that the American people are continuing to face and why so many of them want to see change. They need to see a better economy. They need to see secure borders. And again, and if you get past the propaganda media and Kamala Harris's lies, this is where I think President Trump really has an opportunity because he is the change candidate in this election.
And what's interesting, this is probably the first time, I think, in my lifetime at least, where we know what he stands for because we had him for 4 years.
If you win in November, can you commit to prioritizing legislation to make childcare affordable? And if so, what specific piece of legislation will you advance?
Well, I would do that, and we're sitting down. You know, I was somebody, we had Senator Marco Rubio, and my daughter Ivanka was so impactful on that issue. It's a very important issue. But I think when you talk about the kind of numbers that I'm talking about, that because look, childcare is childcare. There's something, you have to have it. In this country, you have to have it. But when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels that they're not used to, but they'll get used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into our country. Those numbers are so much bigger than any numbers that we're talking about, including childcare, that it's going to take care. We're going to have, I look forward to having no deficits within a fairly short period of time, coupled with the reductions that I told you about on waste and fraud and all of the other things that are going on in our country. Because I have to stay with childcare. I want to stay with childcare, but those numbers are small relative to the kind of economic numbers that I'm talking about, including growth, but growth also headed up by what the plan is that I just told you about. We're going to be taking in trillions of dollars, and as much as childcare is talked about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kind of numbers we'll be taking in. We're going to make this into an incredible country that can afford to take care of its people, and then we'll worry about the rest of the world. Let's help other people. But we're going to take care of our country first. This is about America first. It's about make America great again. We have to.
Well, guys, I got to ask, and I think I already know the answer. Come on, guys. Look at the economy right now. Check your bank accounts, check your finances, check your brokerage accounts, your retirement accounts. Compared to Donald Trump, do you think you are better off financially under Donald Trump's administration or under the current Biden-Harris administration? You guys let me know. We only got a few more weeks. We only have a few more weeks now. Me personally, I've already done my early voting. Got it in, got my vote in, JD Vance and Donald Trump. One more click from your boy. How many of you guys have already done your voting? Let me know down below. And if you feel confident enough, also let us know who you're voting for. Donald Trump, JD Vance, Kamala Harris, Tim Walz. Let me know in the comments, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.